Welcome to Yuasa Hachiro Memorial Museum. My name is Shinano Angevine and I will be your gallery tour guide today. Our special exhibition is titled Exploring Hidden Icu Collections. In the Japanese title, the character for to visit is also included. This insinuates a kind of visitation and exploration to a person, place, or a thing. As the special exhibition today explores the collection bequeathed by Dr. Donald F. Othmer and his wife Mildred Top Othmer, please feel free to feel like you are visiting their home and being introduced to their home collection of Japanese art and crafts. I will first begin with a brief introduction to the Othmers. As mentioned earlier, this collection was bequeathed by Dr. Donald F. Othmer and Mildred Top Othmer in 1995. The Othmers served as board of JICUF from 1968, and upon the death of Miss Mildred, they bequeathed not only this collection, but also funds for creation of new facilities on campus and the establishment of the Donald F. Othmer and Mildred Top Othmer Distinguished Professorship of Sciences at ICU. Their legacy continues to this day, as we can see in the construction of the Mildred Top Othmer that was added to the University Library in 2000. The Othmers had traveled to Japan extensively in the post-World War II period over the course of 12 business trips. On these trips, Miss Mildred Top Othmer also came with Dr. Othmer as he consulted to many companies in Japan with his expertise in chemical engineering. During the course of these trips, the Othmers collected an extensive collection of Japanese arts and crafts, including ukiyo-e prints, bronze mirrors, and Japanese sword tsubas, and many other things. The collection shown today was first exhibited in 1999 after the collection was given to Yuasa Hachiro Memorial Museum, and for the second time this spring in 2020. Their fondness for Japanese art and crafts seeps through the collection. But one such instance of the way that they interpreted Japanese art and created their own is their Christmas plate collection. Beginning in the 1960s, the Othmers collaborated with the Iwao Taizan kiln in Saka Prefecture and created a series of Christmas plates that took on the role of a Christmas or New Year's greeting card and a holiday greeting card. On the front side of the Christmas plates were landscapes of their home in Manhattan, as well as different artifacts from their collection and views of their Japanese garden at their own home. Here we have a detailed draft of one such design from 1985. We see that Midon, a pseudonym for Mildred and Donald, is displayed on top of the year to which the Christmas plate correlates to. Down here we see specific designs that Dr. Othmer and Miss Mildred had specified to the kiln, and we see a letter attached as well, and we see just how dedicated they were to the process of creating these. Now to the actual plates themselves. As mentioned earlier, different items from their collection were depicted on top of the plates. We will now look at two such examples. Here we find a plate with the sword tsubas depicted and the bronze mirror depicted. What is interesting is that not only did they depict art pieces from their collection, but they also tied in their greeting message to the images on the front side of the plate. For example, for the sword guard, they tied in the aspect of protection, and they discussed that the sword guards were their wishes for the recipient of the plates to be protected for the new year, and for the mirror to reflect their good wishes on the recipient. The plate designs would be finished and sent to the kiln in about early summer, and by October, about 300 plates would be sent off to their family and friends across the world, wishing them for a good holiday season. From a craftsmanship perspective, the plates have a nashiji finish, or a pear skin-like finish with little bumps. This allowed for reduced light reflections and glares, and also allowed for the scars and scratches that came from use to not be as obvious when displayed. I would like to introduce the Christmas plate from 1987. We have a rare draft of Dr. Othmer's design laid out here, and again we can see just how careful and detailed they were in giving instructions to the kiln in designing the plates. Here we also see the finished product of when the plates were sent out to their friends and family. As mentioned earlier, many other items from their collection is depicted on these Christmas plates. Here we see the fuksa, or a decorative covering for gifts, that is depicted in the Christmas plates as well. Other items such as the jubako, the tebako, and fubako were also part of the Othmer's collections. They constitute a section of Japanese craft called makie, with the technique of inlays and lacquerware. The jubako was used for presenting ceremonial food, the tabako for cosmetic storage, and the fubako for stationery storage. We will now begin the section of the tour that consists of items collected in the 1950s and 60s by the Othmers during their trips to Japan. One such instance are the ukiyo-e paintings displayed in this section. The Othmers' ukiyo-es are expansive, going from landscape paintings to depictions of courtesans and actors, and span a time period from about the 18th century to the 20th century. The 34 prints displayed are categorized as a mokanga, or woodblock prints. This was a form of mass media in the Edo period and was circulated widely amongst even the common population. It was easily accessible, and so this can be understood as one of the first forms of mass media in Japan. In terms of technique, we have here an example of bokashi that was popular in many landscape and other forms of ukiyo-e. There's a gradation from one color to the next and depicts the sunrise or the sunset and different color variations of the sky. Over here, we find a print depicting the summer festival of fireworks at Ryogokubashi, which is a festival that still takes place today in Tokyo. This piece is very interesting as you can make a comparison between the past and the present. It gives a timeless scape of taking people back to this summer view. The creator used mica to create the effect of sparkling upon the waterfront, as well as the ephemeral beauty of the fireworks in the background. This next section consists of the metalwork in the Othmer's collection. We find here the mirrors from the Edo period, tsuba sword guards, and also stirrups. I'd first like to talk about the bronze mirrors. These mirrors were widely circulated in the Edo period amongst common people and were popular gifts to women in wedding arrangements. I'd like to talk about this mirror design in particular, the motif of the nanten. This plant is a popular motif as it has auspicious meaning, as its name plays on the Japanese word nan and ten. Nan meaning difficulties and ten alluding to throwing out or transforming. And from this, nanten gives the auspicious meaning of transforming or turning around your difficulties into something better. The nanten is also popular for its seasonal motif, as when it is depicted with its flowers, it is considered a summer motif. When it is depicted with its fruit, it is considered a winter motif. From these, not only do you get to enjoy the auspicious meaning behind the mirrors, you also get an aspect of enjoying the seasonality in each of these pieces. Next, I would like to explain the tsubas in the Othmer's collection. The tsubas were sword guards placed on the sword to protect the handler from their hand sliding onto the sharp edge of the Japanese sword. The tsuba has a range of 1 to 3 holes on the tsuba, and this differs depending on the school of craft of the people who created the tsubas. The nakagoana in the center of this tsuba was where the sword was inserted. On either side was the kogaibitsu, and the kozukabitsu. The kogai-bitsu was a hole to which the kogai, or a flat stick, a hairpiece, was attached to the scabbard of the sword. The kozukabitsu was a hole to which the kozuka, or a smaller sword, would fit inside. The hairpiece, as well as the small sword, were used for decorative purposes. The kogai and kozuka were very decorative and were used as fashion statements, along with the design of the tsuba. Here we have the tsubas aligned in order of animal depictions to flowers and humans and plants, as well as geometric figures. Most of the tsubas are made out of iron, but some have bronze and copper inlays or are made of bronze and copper themselves. Here is such an example of such a tsuba. We have a tsuba made out of copper and a tsuba with copper and bronze inlays on top. This will conclude our gallery tour. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope you can visit us soon.